January 15. 69. Sergius Galba, the Roman emperor, assassinated, at the age of 72. He was the successor of Nero, and reigned but 3 months. 936. Rodolph, king of France, died, in the 14th year of his reign, and was succeeded by Louis the Stranger. 1549. The liturgy of the English Church established by Parliament. All the divine offices were to be performed according to the new liturgy, and infringements were to be punished by forfeitures and imprisonments, and for the third offence imprisonment for life. Visitors were appointed to see that it was received throughout England. From this time we may date the era of the Puritans. 1655. Daniel Heinsius, a Dutch philologist, died. He made great progress as a student, under Scaliger, and was appointed to a professorship at Leyden. He was also successful as a Greek and Latin poet. 1559. Queen Elizabeth, crowned at Westminster, by the Bishop of Carlisle, who was the only person that could be prevailed upon to perform the ceremony. 1672. John Cosin, Bishop of Durham, died. A lover of literature and prodigal in his expenditures on bookbinding, he ordered that all his books should be rubbed once a fortnight to prevent their molding. 1693. An army of 600 or 700 French and Indians set out from Montreal to invade the Mohawk castles. See February 6. 1730. Governor Montgomery granted the city of New York a new charter. Although that city had been put under the government of a mayor in 1665, it was not regularly incorporated until 1686. 1773. At Duff House, the residence of the Countess Dowager of Fife, the first masquerade ever seen in Scotland was exhibited. 1777. Vermont declared itself a free and independent state. It had been settled as a part of New Hampshire, but was claimed as a part of New York, and so decided to be by the British Crown. But by the dissolution of the bonds which had held America in subjection to the Crown of Britain, they considered themselves free from New York, to which the most of them had never voluntarily submitted, and being, as they said, reduced to a state of nature, they assumed the right to form such connections as were agreeable to themselves. Accordingly they formed a plan of government and a code of laws, and petitioned Congress to receive them into the Union. 1778. Nootka Sound in the Sandwich Islands discovered by Captain Cook. 1780. First exportation of woolen goods from Ireland to a foreign market. 1780. Unsuccessful attack by the Americans under Lord Stirling on the British at Long Island. 1781. The traitor Arnold succeeded in burning some stores at Smithfield. 1783. William Alexander, Lord Stirling, an officer in the Revolutionary Army, died at Albany, aged 57. He was of Scotch descent, and from early youth a mathematician. Throughout the war he acted an important part, and was warmly attached to Washington. He left behind him the reputation of a brave, discerning and intrepid officer, and an honest and learned man. He was generally styled Lord Stirling, and was considered the rightful heir to the title and estates of that earldom in Scotland. 1794. A desperate engagement off the island of Corsica between 3 Sardinian ships and 2 Barbary xebecs. One of the xebecs was captured, but the other, rather than surrender, was blown up, upon which the prisoners taken, Turks and Algerines, 92 in number, were put to death. 1795. The French attacked the British outposts at Renan. 1795. The French National Convention liberated Jean Miranda and Captain Lacrosse from prison. 1799. A revolution at Lucca in Italy, without bloodshed. Titles and exclusive privileges were abolished, the sovereignty of the people proclaimed, and a contribution of 2 millions of livres levied on the nobility alone, which was immediately presented to the French general Sergius. 1805. Abraham Hyacinth Anquetil du Perron, the French Orientalist, died, aged 74. He studied theology, but afterwards devoted himself with ardor to the study of the Eastern languages. In 1754 he embarked for India, and with difficulty succeeded in finding some priest to instruct him in the sacred language of the Parsis. He returned to Paris in 1762 with a number of manuscripts, and proceeded to arrange them for publication. During the Revolution he shut himself up with his books, but continued labors and an abstemious diet exhausted his constitution. He was a learned and excellent man. 1807. Battle between the forces under Christophe and Passion for the governorship of Haiti, which had been assumed by Christophe as the oldest general, on the death of Dessalines. But Passion had been subsequently duly elected. Christophe was defeated after a fierce encounter. A separation of the republic followed. Passion instituted a pure republic, while Christophe founded a monarchy. 1810. Masquerades and masked balls prohibited in the city of New York. 1815. The United States frigate President, Decatur, captured by 4 British vessels, after a sharp action, and a chase of 18 hours. Loss of the Americans: 22 killed, 59 wounded. British loss: 11 killed, 14 wounded. 1825. Robert Goodloe Harper, an American statesman, died. He was born in Virginia, of poor parentage, acquired the rudiments of a classical education, served a campaign in the Revolutionary Army, after which he entered Princeton College. He subsequently settled in South Carolina, in the practice of the law, and acquired great reputation as a professional man and a politician. 1827. Jean-Denis Langelier died. He was a staunch defender of liberal principles, and opposed first the arrogant pretensions of the privileged class, although himself one of their number. Afterwards he arrayed himself against the intrigues of Mirabeau, the violence of the Mountain Party, and the usurpations of Bonaparte. In the face of destruction, the object of his wishes was constitutional liberty. He escaped the axe of the Revolution, and was even promoted to office by Napoleon. 1834. The city of Lira, in Portugal, taken by Countess Oldenha, and the garrison of Miguelets, about 1,500 in number, made prisoners. 1836. Charles Lewis, one of the most eminent bookbinders in Europe, died. The splendidly bound books in the Duke of Sussex's library are of his workmanship. 1842. Joseph Hopkinson died. His speeches in Congress on the Seminole War were much admired. He was author of the song, "Hail Columbia." 1844. The Fontaine Molière, a monument to the great French dramatist, at Paris, inaugurated. It combines a public fountain with a monument, and stands opposite the house in which Molière died. 1849. Reporters excluded from an adjourned meeting of a convention of the Southern States.